The laughter echoed across the polished showroom floor, sharp and careless, bouncing off glass walls and chrome grills like it belonged there. Salesmen leaned back against desks, arms crossed, eyes full of judgment as they watched the ragged man stand quietly near the row of massive Mercedes trucks. His coat was frayed, his boots worn thin, his beard untrimmed and streaked with gray. When he said he would take 5 of them, not one, not maybe, but 5, the room filled with amusement so loud it drowned out dignity itself. No one imagined that those laughs would soon turn into the most expensive mistake that dealership would ever make. Before the story goes any further, pause for a moment. If you believe in kindness quests, in second chances, and in the power of not judging a book by its cover, please like this video, comment, share it with someone who needs hope today, and subscribe to the channel. Stories like this matter because people like you choose to believe they do. The man's name was Samuel Brooks, and few people knew anything about him anymore. Once, long ago, he had been a respected logistics contractor working across several states in the United States, a Christian man who believed deeply in honest work and fair dealings. He had built his business slowly, starting with 1 truck, then 2, hauling goods through storms and sleepless nights. He trusted too easily, partnered with the wrong people, and when a major deal collapsed due to fraud, he did not commit. Everything followed. Lawsuits drained his accounts. Partners disappeared, and the business he built over 20 years vanished in less than 12 months. Samuel did not just lose money. He lost reputation, friends, and eventually his home. Pride kept him from asking for help, and faith was the only thing that kept him from giving up completely. He took odd jobs, slept in cheap motels when he could, sometimes in his aging pickup truck when he could not. Time wore him down. His clothes became worn, his posture bent under invisible weight. To the world, he looked like another man who had failed. To God, he was still being prepared. What no one at the dealership knew was that Samuel had never stopped working. While the world saw a decline, he was rebuilding quietly. A former client who knew the truth about the failed deal had reached out months earlier, offering Samuel a chance to consult on a massive infrastructure contract overseas. Samuel agreed, working nights, surviving on little, trusting that truth eventually rises. The deal succeeded beyond expectations, and Samuel's compensation was not small. It was life-restoring. He did not rush to change his appearance or announce his return. He believed character mattered more than image. That morning, Samuel walked into Mercedes' commercial dealership because he needed trucks, not for status, but for work. The new contract required a fleet immediately, and he trusted Mercedes' reliability above all else. He waited patiently while salesmen glanced at him, dismissed him, and finally approached with thinly veiled irritation. When he stated his intent calmly, clearly, without bravado, the laughter came easily. They assumed he misunderstood pricing. They assumed desperation or delusion. They assumed wrong. Samuel stood through it all without anger. He had endured worse than mockery. He remembered sleeping in cold silence, praying for enough strength to wake up one more day. The laughter did not shake him. What shook the room was what came next. When asked how he planned to pay, Samuel pulled out a simple folder, worn like everything else he owned, and placed on the desk. Inside were verified bank letters, contract confirmations, and wire transfer authorizations that told a story no one expected. The room shifted. Smiles faded. Jokes stopped mid-breath. Managers stepped in, voices lowered. The numbers were real. The funds were cleared. The order was legitimate. 5 high-capacity Mercedes trucks, paid in full, with additional service contracts requested. The ragged man was not confused. He was prepared. But the mistake had already been made. The ridicule, the disrespect, the visible contempt. Samuel noticed a sudden change in tone, the forced politeness, the rushed apologies. He listened quietly, then did something none of them expected. He declined, calmly, respectfully. He explained that he no longer felt confident doing business with people who decided a man's worth before knowing his story. Within days, word spread. Samuel purchased his fleet from a competing dealership in a neighboring state, one that treated him with courtesy from the moment he walked in. The original dealership lost not just the sale of 5 trucks, but future contracts that followed. Samuel's business expanded rapidly, and loyalty became his currency. He partnered only with those who showed respect without preconditions. Samuel used his success differently this time. He paid off debts, restored relationships where possible, and quietly funded programs for struggling workers in logistics and transportation. He hired people others overlooked. Veterans, men rebuilding their lives, people who understood hard roads. His company culture was built on dignity first, profit second. The memory of that laughter stayed with him, not as bitterness, but as a reminder. He never forgot how close he came to being invisible forever. He made it a rule that no one who walked into his offices would ever feel small for how they looked or what they carried. If this story is touching your heart right now, if it reminds you that humility and patience can outlast judgment, please take a moment, like this video, share it with someone who needs encouragement, and help this message travel further. Years later, Samuel returned to that original dealership once, not as a customer, but as a guest speaker invited by new ownership after the business changed hands. He spoke not about money, but about character, about how success can disappear overnight, and how grace should never depend on appearances. Some of the people who once laughed sat quietly, heads lowered, listening to a man they once dismissed. Samuel walked out that day lighter than he walked in years earlier, not because he proved anything, but because he no longer needed to. His faith had carried him through loss and restoration, teaching him that God often strips everything away not to punish, but to rebuild on stronger ground. Just before this story ends, please leave a comment below and share what part of Samuel's journey moved you the most. Your words may encourage someone who feels overlooked right now. Because sometimes the biggest mistake is laughing too soon, and sometimes the man everyone ignores is the one about to change everything.